You guys say that it takes you 4 hours to clean. Me and Trev would prove to you that the shit y'all take 4 hours to do, we can get done in an hour, two tops. So it's not about just how hard it is, about how efficient you are at doing it. And let's not pretend like women aren't hyper efficient at doing things. You get distracted, you take breaks, wine break, you want to scroll for a minute, you have your phone in your hand, you got to multitask. Dude, we tend to sit and lock in and get shit done so we can get it over with. So that 4 hours of work that you guys really did was just an hour. So if we look at it that way, that hour and a half we do extra outside of work, we still.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to answer even BK's question. It's like, well, your statement, it's not her fault. I agree. I think it still is that we're gonna go to reality, forget the internet, even though this is the tool we're using to have this conversation, right? To do laundry is not a daily task, right? So if you was to measure and try to balance it, how often you have to do laundry. We're talking about you and one other person. Forget the freaking kid.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mom.
No, I was about to say it's a daily task.
Well, when you said forget the kids, that was okay. That's a different.
If my girl don't do laundry every day, it's going to stack up. So it's best to
do laundry every day.
Children,
you go to the gym, True.
I do, but I don't do laundry every single day.
Yeah,
like
I do laundry every other day. I can't daily. That would drive me crazy.
It depends on the size of the households. You know, I had raised 5 daughters, and there was constantly laundry, but I couldn't do it every day. But if I didn't, it would pile up, and so I just had a little bit more when I had to do it.
Well, I'm glad that sparked some discourse. I'm trying to weigh the fact that that's a task. That's something that it's not. The framework of the relationship is not going to die if there's more socks than not. And I think that's again the disconnect. That's why this equality argument doesn't work, is because again, I'm speaking to what I believe is happening. We don't posture enough in the eyes of women. Y'all can list what y'all do, but when we list what we do, it almost falls on deaf ears. Like if I say y'all pay the mortgage, if I say that, the mortgage, right? And then you go grocery shopping, are they equal? And maybe they are in your eyes, but the reality is I'm housing us. You're housed. I'm housed. You go get food.
But the majority aren't just paying the mortgage, right? We're talking about the average couple, right? It specifically, if we want to even pare it down, the average Black American couple, right? Where we already established how much more the man is making. You know, we can look at labor statistics and see what kind of jobs the average Black man and Black woman are having, right? You can look at how much housework is involved with that, how much yard work is involved with that. 24%, I think, of Black people own guns and stuff. Like, you can look some of these things up, right? And like, so what you're saying, while it's cool, like I said, again, this is the internet, and most of us probably don't live the average life. Right. And so I just think that, right, like the job that you were talking about, that's not the average person.
Like,
okay, so let's
going back on what you were saying earlier, that if there's like 4 hours worth of housework and then he works an extra hour and a half of work, then you expect him to work an extra hour and a half at the house to kind of compensate. You know what? I'd rather my man to stay at work and make money within that extra hour and a half, because the housework can always wait. First and foremost, can be done, progressively, little by little. Don't have to be tackled all at once. So I will take that extra housework, because him staying at work will represent a financial gain for our household. So
the extra time that you spend working, again, you guys say that it takes you 4 hours to clean. Me and Trev would prove to you that the shit y'all take 4 hours to do, we can get done in an hour, two tops. So it's not about just how hard it is, about how efficient you are at doing it. And let's not pretend like women aren't hyper efficient at doing things. You get distracted, you take breaks, wine break, you want to scroll for a minute, you have your phone in your hand, you got to multitask. Dude, we tend to sit and lock in and get shit done so we can get it over with. So that 4 hours of work that you guys really did was just an hour. So if we look at it that way, that hour and a half we do extra outside of work, we still killing y'all for the average people.
But also,
I think and especially I have noticed women. That's because I'm a man, so I notice women do this, but I'm seeing that us as men do this too. We all try to minimize what the other person's contribution is, and I don't think it's reasonable on either side. I know women like to minimize everything that you do into like one thing, and they like to break down everything that they do in a bunch of different pieces, right? And said, I did this, I did that. But I don't think that it's fair on either side for us to do it. I think that even though, let's say, housework might be easier, I don't think that it's necessarily easier, because I don't know how many of us men is going to trade going to work for just staying at home. Hell no, I don't want to do that shit.
Communication.
I pay all the bills, so I don't got to do none of that shit.
But communication is key. For example, like, although I know how to do an oil change and I know what size tire I need and everything, but that comes from raising boys. So I had to teach them things because of the lack of, their father in their life, But, at the end of the day, nowadays, it's like, I can rely on them. I don't have to worry about those things, but they know how to do like the oil change and all the stuff. I just had to say, hey, son, like my car needs an oil change. They come to the garage and they pop up the card and like do what they got to do. But for them to be able to do that after working a long day, throughout the day, I went and got the oil filter. I got the oil. I have to have everything that they need here in the house, so that way I can get that needs met. That I don't have to spend extra, $100 or $200 in a dealership getting it done. So it's a balance. I think all comes down to communication and being, understanding on each other's capacity. Because having high expectation when you can only perform a certain level and you don't express that, that's where conflict comes from. Because let's say there's never a 50-50, not financially, not in contribution, like do the housework, none of that. But that's when becomes like you can speak to your partner and said, hey, so before we move in together, before we get into this, like formal relationship, let's figure it out, budgeting. Okay, so if I make more than you do, then I take up those bills. But because to take care of those bills, I have to work an X amount of hours, then you take care of on this house responsibilities. Like it has to be an understanding, having high expectations and going into like, oh, I'm 50-50. And then when, shit is not adding up, then you get all but hurt and people start getting mad at each other and stuff like that. That is because of lack of communication and understanding and financial literacy. I think that's where the main problem is coming from.
Do y'all
Can I
think
just
that
make a
we
point?
missing the?
Sorry.
Real quick. Do y'all think that we kind of missing like the beauty in us being different? Like, I know, like I feel like women, even though to us an oil change and getting tires changed is easy as fuck, right?
No, it's not.
It's easy. I'm
Well,
not saying that it's
easy
easy
when
to
you
do
know
it.
how to do it.
I'm not saying that it's
Right.
easy to do it. I'm just saying it's easy to like go and get it done, right? Even though those things are like easy and second nature to us as men, I think women take solace in not having to worry about it. Like just even though it's simple, like yo, my man worries about that, and I appreciate that. And the vice versa with like, I don't want to have to wash dishes, or I don't want to have to braid my daughter hair. Like when I look at girls braid hair, I'll be like, I don't know how you can sit down for 3 hours, 4 hours and do these little tiny braids. I could never. And I would never do it, right? And I am appreciative that somebody else is willing to do that and might enjoy doing that, right? So I feel like we're not being appreciative of what makes us different, if that makes sense.
But how do we typically show that, like I think you make valid points, right? Your observation is priceless. I think generally most men actually do what you just said. We take the very little things, not to dismiss, but take the little things women do, and we expand it. We make it valuable, but they minimize ours, and I think that's the disconnect. And what I hear sometimes in these conversations is that, even I think BK said it, women are doing essentially what we do, working. They're getting a paycheck. So now that there's this like almost equation of equality from the way our society runs and functions now in their eyes, and now we're actually exploring, well, what does a relationship look like? And we're trying to kind of mine it out now. That's the disconnect, that you're saying do equal of the work in the household, and it's still like, okay, let's say that happens. Well, when we go out, I know you share this sentiment, Mont. You don't let your woman drive. I don't let my woman drive. Like, so are we going to do that too? And that's why I think it's problematic, because there is no sharing of equality. It's just not going to happen, at least in my opinion. And I'll land.
And that's what I was going to say too. Like as women, oftentimes we're the ones that speak on equality. We want to be equal when that's going to be impossible because we
No, I don't want to
aren't
be equal
equal.
at all.
Yeah, right. But then we complain about certain things that are like hard or things like that, but it's like we created that for ourselves, but then we're the same one who complain about it and things like that. But we also want the things that are equal, that are benefiting us, as to what Will said, but then don't want to approach. We don't want to make the first move. We don't want to propose to men. We don't like, it's like we do these things that, like I said, benefit us, but then it's like basically taking what we want and then leaving what we don't. And it's kind of like, if we want equality, then why not take 100% of equality? You're kind of like, you know what I mean? It's not really equality in that sense.
We live in a
But
world of convenience. I just wanted to just make a
exactly.
point. I think that, I know, True, you asked like what do women want. I think that we talk about the different dynamics. Like, I don't know if everybody agrees with the men on this panel providing 100% full financial stability, taking care of everything. If everybody agrees with a man has to drive, I know relationships that are total opposite of that. And I think there are people who agree with 50-50. And if a woman makes more than a man, they're okay with her providing that, and then maybe they pick up somewhere else. I think that we just got to understand that people have different dynamics of relationships, and just because we think of, like, the traditional or the biblical, men provide, women do X, Y, and Z in the household, it's no longer like that. There are stay-at-home dads. There are women who are making a significantly larger amount than maybe their counterpart, and they are okay with that. So we got to just, I feel like, normalize that people have their own things that work for them. And Willie's, your case is just not, it's not typical, but I will say, I think it's harder for women nowadays to accept a man who is who will fully provide, right, financially, and then take that lead, that supporting role position, the household. I think women don't even understand, like, wait, what is my role? What do I need to do? Like, how am I able to be like, that's a submission level of submission? How are they even doing that? It's not typical.